A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to week 13 of your lab class. And this week, we will continue from where we had left off last week. So last week, we were looking at CSS. We had gone over the exercises on background color, on border, on margin, padding, height, width, CSS text, and navigation bar. We were supposed to cover it in the class, but due to time shortages, we were not able to fully do so. So for in today's class, we will try to cover these concepts. Texts, okay, we'll try to get deeper into CSS by touching base on text, font, links, lists, tables, display, float, align, navigation bar. Now, at the moment, the list is quite big, okay, because if I would generally have a look at those, so the concepts are quite bigger, but we'll try to get those sorted or try to cover those in the 2-hour time frame. Now, generally, we allocate 15 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes of break in each and every hour. So in today's class, we will not take breaks like we have been doing, but we'll try to finish everything within 1 hour 45 minutes. If not, we'll cover the rest of the stuffs in next week's lecture and lab class. All right, so without any further delays, okay, let's continue with it. By the way, I hope that all of you are doing well. Okay, so those of you who have joined us, thank you for joining in for the live lab session, and those of you who will be watching the videos later, thank you for taking out your time. Now, just a few reminders. Your short test 2, which was released on Moodle on Monday, it's due on the 25th of October, which is over the weekend. On Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Please try your best to get it done as soon as possible. I had allocated 2 hours time from yesterday's lecture session so that you can actually use up that time to complete your short test 2. So those of you who didn't take out time and who didn't complete it as yet, please try your best to get it done by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, because in order for me to give you an extension on short tests and quizzes, you'll have to go through the head of department seeking permission for it. Moreover, your project 2, which was initially due on the 31st of October, I've extended the due date, and now it is due on the 7th of November. So 7th of November is after next week, Sunday, okay? Do not try to have a leeway of the time period that is given to you. Please try your best to get it done. Once you're done before 7th of November and you're fully satisfied that, okay, this is what all I want to do and I can do, please try to complete that and submit it before the deadline. Apart from that, all is well from my end. You have only 2 more assessments for the semester with 30% left, and then you're done. There's no final exams for CIN535. So without further delay, let's go and start working on CSS, and we will work with CSS texts. So let's open up Notepad very, very quickly. Open up a Notepad file very, very quickly, and then save the Notepad file inside the CSS folder where you've been saving all the files for the past 2 weeks. So I have it in my folder here in the lab CSS, okay, and I will name it as text.html. In fact, name it as CSS text, CSS text.html, and save your file. Okay, so once you've done that, so very quickly, can you go and put down your HTML skeleton? By now, you should be well versed with it. So it starts with a doc type, HTML, followed by a opening HTML tag and a closing HTML tag. And once you have done that, you'll indent a bit towards the right hand side. So that's where you have your opening head tag followed by a closing head tag. Inside it, you have your title tags. After head tag, in line with it, you have opening body tag followed by a closing body tag, and Control S to save. Okay, now inside your body tag, we'll try to go a bit fast, so you might need to be in quite tuned up. You might need to be quite tuned up so that you actually are able to catch up with me. Okay, so within the body tags, you will have two sets of paragraph tags. Just place it in there. Okay, now in your first paragraph tag, type down text formatting and Control S to save. Next paragraph, type down text color. Straight after that, can you go and create another set of paragraph tags, and this time call it as text alignment. Another set of paragraph, and this time let's call it as text decoration. And the last one, let's just keep it till text decoration. Okay, so you have four sets of paragraphs: text formatting, text color, text alignment, text decoration. I'll give you 2 minutes to catch up. Okay, so once you've done that, now last you could also practice exercises on classes and IDs. So what I'd like you to do is, can you go and allocate IDs for all four of those paragraphs? So paragraph 1, can you call the ID as format? Paragraph 2, call the ID as color. Paragraph 3, can you name your ID as align? And paragraph 4, name your ID as decorate. So very quickly, let's get that done. So you have paragraph ID is equals to, in quotes, you write down format. Next up, ID is equals to, over here, we're calling it as color. Next, ID is equals to align. Next paragraph, ID is equals to decorate. Control S to save. And at the same time, go back to your root folder and try to open up this file and see what do you have so far. Okay, this is what I have. So quickly take a minute, get that done. Okay, now let's go and call the title as CSS text. Control S to save. Go to the browser, refresh. So the tab name is CSS text. That means your title is working fine and you already have your paragraphs listed in that particular web page. Now, inside your head tags, okay, what you will need to do is you'll need to put down your style tags so that we can actually go and add CSS codes. So you have style tags, opening style tag followed by a closing style tag. And let's go and start doing some stuffs. Okay. Now, first thing that we'll look at is text color. Now, generally with coloring text, there's two most things that you could do with the colors in relation to colors and text. Is first of all, you can change the color of the text, or you can go and give a background color of the text. So for the first one, where ID is equals to format, let's change the background color. Okay, so over here, you'll have a hashtag. That's how you call a ID, hashtag format, and then open and close parenthesis. Within it, you will go and type in your CSS code. So in here you have background hyphen color, and let's say the color is light gray, semicolon. Control S to save. Once you have done that, refresh your browser, see if you have the color. So I have it there. Okay, so remember your first paragraph, the ID that you've given is format. So you'll call your ID through the use of a hashtag. So format, open and close parenthesis, background hyphen color, light gray. And the result would look something like that. So the next paragraph, let's go and change the font color to actually call that ID. So hashtag color, open and close parenthesis, ensure to indent it to the right very, very clearly. And to actually put down the font color, you'll say color, colon. Okay, so what color would you like to allocate? Let's say red followed by a semicolon, and Control S to save. So once you get that done and refresh your browser, this is what you get. You have 2 minutes to get that done. Alrighty, I hope this is clear for all of you. If you have any questions, any queries in between while we're working with these sizes, please do let me know. All right, now next up, what we will do is we will go and apply a new form of styling to our text. In this case, we will go and apply alignment. Now, alignment, basically, there are 4 types of alignment. Okay, now very much similar. You have it in Microsoft Word. So how do you do it, or how do you align? It's pretty simple. So text align either to the left or right, center, or justify. So we will go and call out the next paragraph, which is ID'd as align. So to call your ID, you always use a hashtag. So hashtag align, open and close parenthesis, align it properly, okay? And then to actually apply the style, so text hyphen align, and then let's try out left for the moment. Now, do note this, that your text is already on the left-hand side, so it wouldn't make much effect. So let's go and say this is on the center. By the way, the spelling of center is CENTER. TRE is basically a center used for shops or a particular place, okay? ER, that means something is in the middle. So if I would use that, go to my browser, refresh, you'll see text alignment goes in the middle of the page. And likewise, you can try other form of alignments as well. For example, right. If I would align it to the right, Control S to save, go back to the browser, refresh, it goes to the right hand side. Now, if I want to put it to the left, so it by default, generally it does go to the left. Okay, so change it to left, Control S to save, and then refresh your browser, it goes on the left hand side. Let's see what happens when we do apply a justified alignment. So justify, Control S to save, and then you won't see much effect, because with justify, what happens is you need a lot of text. So in a line, probably about 15 or 20 texts, then it will try to stretch it out in the entire paragraph. So for the moment, let's keep this to center. But just to remember, there are 4 values for the property text align, and those are left, right, center, and justify. I'll give you a minute to try that out. All right, moving on to the next text formatting feature that I would like you to try it out is text decoration. Now, text decoration, basically it is a property and you have 4 sets of values for it again. So text decoration, the values are none, that means you have no form of decoration. You have overline, you have line through, and then you have underline. So let's go and try it out. So first of all, I would like you to call out your paragraph, which is ID'd as decorate. So hashtag decorate, and then open and close parentheses or curly brackets, whatever you find it comfortable calling it as. And then you have your property that is text decoration, and then colon. So the first one, let's try overline, followed by a semicolon. Control S to save, and this is the change that you will get. So overline, a line above the text. Also go and try out line through. So line hyphen through, that's it is written down. That's how it's written down, line hyphen through. Control S to save. And then you have a line going through the text. And then you can also have your decoration as underline. Control S to save. Oops, pardon me. There you go. That's underline. And then you can also have it as none. Control S to save and then refresh. So that's how it generally is. So I will leave the default and the most commonly used text decoration as underline. Okay, let's use about 2 minutes, okay, to practice all 4 of those. If there are any questions, any queries, let me know. We have 2 minutes on you. Okay, now, so currently we have worked with few things. We have worked with text color, we have worked with alignments, and then we have worked with text decorations. Now, these are in all relation to texts. Now, just in case, if you would like to change your font type, okay, that means, for example, in Microsoft Word, you have Calibri as your font type, and you'd like to change it to Times New Roman, let's say. Okay, so there is a specific way in which you can do the same in CSS. So let's go and add another paragraph. Okay, and this paragraph has an opening and a closing paragraph tag. So in it, you write down, okay, font family. Give it as text font family. Now, generally, in CSS, your font family is very much similar to what you have learned in your lecture notes. Okay, remember we have learned about font families. So there are 5 types of font families. You have serif, you have sans serif, you have monospace, you have cursive, and then you have fantasy. So these are the 5 basic types of font families. Now, font families have different font names together with them as well. For example, Times New Roman it belongs to the font family called serif. Arial belongs to the font family called sans serif. You have Curia New, which belongs to monospace. You have Lucida handwriting, which is cursive. And then fantasy is like papyrus or copperplate. Now, can you get this information from? You can always extract this information from w3schools.com. And if you would go into the CSS tutorials under font families, you should be able to get all these different font types. So we'll just go and give a try with 1 or 2 of the font families, and just to give you a feel of how it actually is done. Okay, so let's go and give a ID to our paragraph. Give the ID as font family. Now, once you've done that, let's call our ID. How do you call it out? Hashtag. Okay, and what's the name? Font family. So you have open and close parentheses. Ensure to indent your parentheses well in according to the previous closing parentheses. If you have a look at my alignment, all the hashtags are in line, all the parentheses, the closing ones are in one line, all the opening parentheses are on the in one line together. Likewise with all the properties and the values. So please ensure that you have something similar as that. Now, font family. So your hashtag, sorry, your property there would be font family followed by a colon. And let's call this out. And let's call it as Arial. Sorry, everyone. All right, now going back to it. So your font family is Arial, and if you would refresh that it up, you'll see your font that you have here, and look at the ones that you have here is quite different from one another. Okay, so this is the Arial font type. Now you can go and always go and specify different types of font types as well. For example, Lucida Console is another type of font family. You can press Ctrl S to save it and then refresh it up on your browser. So that's what you get. Okay, now the thing is this, for you to actually try out the different font family types, you need to know them. And there's another thing, if you would know it, eventually you'll tend to forget over time. Why? Because if in order for us to know it very, very accurately, we have to use it more often. Okay, so if you are someone who is let's say let's say you get a job and you get a job of a website developer, so in that case you'll be practicing these things on regular basis. However, if you are someone who has not made a website for quite some time, and then all of a sudden you are asked to do so, then you might need to go and search and hunt for these things rather. So a very good example of getting these things done very, very quickly is you can just get a Google search done. For example, Google search on font families. But for you to actually know that there's a thing called font family, you need to know the basics, the foundations of such things. And this is where you're learning these stuffs. All right. Now, finally, the very last thing on font is font size. So can you go and create a paragraph? And in here, okay, can you give your text as text font size and give an ID as size? Okay, now once you have done that, let's go and call out this particular ID, and name of the ID is size, so hashtag size, open and close parenthesis. So I'm just trying to ensure that my closing parenthesis is in line. So my properties are also in line. So the property that you use for font size is font size. So you have font and then hyphen size followed by a semicolon, and then you'll give in your size. For example, in this instance, I will give a size of 40 pixels followed by a semicolon. So Control S to save, and then you might go and refresh your browser, and this is what you get. Okay, something is wrong. I'm not getting the size. Now it seems fine. There you go. See, that is the main reason why I would normally ask you to go and refresh after I've done a single change is now I made an error. So instead of equal sign, I've used a hyphen. So if I wouldn't see the change on the web page, so very quickly I could go back and retrace what I have done wrongly. Now you can also change your font size, let's say to 5 pixels. Control S to save. Go back to the browser, F5 to refresh. So this is 5 pixels. I can make it to 100 pixels. Control S to save. Refresh your browser. That's 100 pixels. So it depends what size you actually want to have. So take a minute or two, let's say maximum of 2 minutes, and play around with font size. Try different size allocations. Once you're done, then you start working with links. Alrighty. Now, once you've done this, next thing what I'd like you to do is, can you go and save up this document, Control S to save if you haven't. After that, can you go to File and do a Save As, and this time call your file name as CSS links.html, and then hit the Save button. All right. So once you've done that, first of all, your title, change it to CSS links, Control S to save. Now within your style, keep the style tag and remove all your IDs from there. And also within your body text, can you go and remove all the paragraphs? So you're left with something like this. Control S to save. At the same time, I would like you to go and open up CSS links on your browser. So at the moment, your document is completely blank. Okay, now in here within your body tag, I would like you to insert a heading. So we'll insert a heading 1, open and close heading 1, and we'll call this heading as Fiji National University. And then right underneath that, let's have a paragraph. So in the paragraph, write down to visit us, comma, click here. Now, very quickly, let's give your paragraph a font size of 40. Now do that. Can you give your paragraph a font size of 40? Since it is a single paragraph, therefore you do not need to insert in an ID. You can just call out the paragraph in the style tags, okay? Directly through the use of a P tag. So can you go and give a font size of 40 pixels? So you have paragraph tag, open and close parenthesis. So therefore font hyphen size colon 40 pixels semicolon, control S to save. Let's go and have a look at that. There you go. Now what I want to do next is let's read the paragraph. Okay. It says to visit us, click here. Now you must have seen this in a lot of websites. So when you click on the word here, it takes you to a new website, probably a new page, new location within the page and whatsoever. Now we'll do the same. So when somebody clicks on the word here, it should take that person to FNU's website. How can we do that? It's pretty simple. What you need to do is you need to insert in a opening A tag in front of in front of here, and likewise a closing A tag after the word here. And then you will go and refresh your browser. It's not a link yet because you have not, pardon me, it's not a link yet because you have not inserted anything or any link to it. To insert a link in your opening A tag, you'll have a hyperlink reference tag and then followed by quotes. In your code, you will go and feed in FNU's website. So HTTPS colon backslash, it's more like a forward slash, sorry, forward slash, double forward slash, www.fnu.ac.fj, and then another forward slash, control S to save. So once you have done that, you will refresh your browser. Let's test it out whether this works or not. When you click here, it opens FNU's website. Good. So far, so good. So can you get this done, people? I'll give you a minute. After that, we'll start styling up your page. You have 2 minutes with you, people. Okay, Now, once you have done that, now here's another new attribute that you could add to your A tag. Now, at the moment, you have a hyperlink reference attribute. Okay, now together with that, you can add a new attribute whereby when you click on the word here, instead of opening up FNU's website on the very same web page, for example, when you click here, it opens up on the very same tab, okay, or the web page. Now, what we want to do next is when we click on the word here, it opens up in a new tab. So how can we cater for that? So the attribute that could allow you to do so is called target. So target equals to, and then in quotes, make sure this code exists here. Okay, so in quotes, you will type down a slash like this. Now this is more like a not a slash, called an underscore, a underscore and blank, and control S to save. So once you do that, let's go and refresh your page. Click on the word here. You'll see that FNU's website opens up in a new tab. Now just imagine this particular word target is equals to blank leaves that much of impact on this particular link. Okay, so you need to be very careful when you're using it. So I'll give you a minute to catch up, and after that we'll start styling up. Now at the moment, this is just basic HTML. Okay, styling portion is still left. All right, let's move on. So first of all, let's go and create a styling for our link, whereby if a link is unvisited, okay, it's more likely, let's say, red in color. Now, by the way, let me give you a heads up beforehand that there are 4 stages in a not stages but states. There are 4 states for a link. You have an unvisited link, that means a link on which has not been clicked on, and then you have a visited link. So when you click on that link, the color of that link changes. And then you have a mouse over link. A mouse over link is when you're dragging your cursor on top of that link, so the color changes. And finally, you have a active link. It's more like a selected link. So let's go and try all 4 of these and see the impact that it leaves on the link. So first of all, let's call it out. And to call it out, it's an A tag, a simple A tag. Okay, and okay, first of all, let's go and give a comment so that you know what it is. So this is a unvisited link. That's how I would give a comment. Now have a look at the link. At the moment, it's blue in color. Okay, now let's go and change things. So to call out, you have a tag followed by your 2 parentheses. Now in it, you'd want to change the color. So color, let's go and change the color to red. Now, before we do that, now your selection here has some more features that you need to add. So to do that, this is what you're going to do. So a tag colon link. That means the link that you have, you're trying to make, when you say link over there, generally it gives a significance for a unvisited link. Okay. So Control S to save, go to the browser, F5 to refresh. Changes red in color? Yes. When you click on it, still color red. Do notice this. When you take your mouse over it, still color red. Now let's go and change few things. Next up is we'll go and add a command. That means, and we'll add mouse hover. Okay, that means when you are dragging your mouse over or on top of that link, okay, you want to see some form of effects. So in here, you'll insert in your A tag, and this time your extension to it would be hover and open and close parentheses. All right, now let's go and change the color. So let's say color, let's add a color as hot pink, followed by a semicolon. And now when you go back to your browser, refresh, remains color red. The difference is this portion. Do you see that? Okay, now if this is not so bright, what you can always do is change this to, let's say, yellow. Refresh, there you go. Are you able to see the effect when you hover? Hover means when you take the cursor on top of a specific spot or area. So that is called hovering. Okay. Now, before we continue further, let me give you 2 minutes to catch up what we have done. It's 9:57, 9:59, we'll continue. You have 2 minutes on you. All right, let's continue, everyone. Next up, we have already applied a styling to your link for a unvisited state, and then you have applied styling for a mouse hovering effect. Next up, let's go and put a styling whereby color changes when you have visited the link. Okay, so visited link. So likewise, you have a tag colon. So in here, you write down visited and then open and close parentheses. Okay, so this time again, color, and what color do you want when it's visited? Let's go and change the color to green, for instance. Control S to save. Upon doing it, you can go to the browser, F5 to refresh. So this is the change in cursor when you hover it. When you click over it, okay, now what happens is when you click over it, it opens up in a new page, therefore the color might not be shown. Okay, if you would keep it open within the same area or spot. And also another thing is this: generally when you are using a visited link, it works when the website is already hosted, because it is able to save the state for a certain period of time. At the moment it's not hosted, so you might not see the full effects of it. Okay, so if it doesn't work at the moment, don't worry too much about it. Okay, let me just cross check and see if my code is okay in this case. So a visited, this is fine. Okay, you have open and close parenthesis, color colon green semicolon. Yep, the code is fine. It's just that it's not opening up because it's not hosted, so don't worry about it. So the second or the fourth thing that we can insert in here is a selected link. And I have a feeling that this also might not work unless and until it's hosted somewhere on the web. Okay, never mind. Just for your knowledge, we'll try and do it. So a tag, and we'll call it as active without any spaces. Active, open and close parenthesis. Let's indent it a bit to the right hand side, and you'll change the color to, let's say, blue, followed by a semicolon. This might change, but let's treat. There you go. When you click on it, do you see the change in color? Blue. Okay, it works. It's just that the link which is already visited, it doesn't keep a good track of it. So have a look at this. So at the moment, this is red in color. When I hover the mouse cursor on top of the link, it changes to yellow. And when I click, I've not released the mouse button. When I release it, you'll see the color changes when I click on it. Okay, so that's an example of selected link, and this works pretty well. Okay, so I'll give you 2 minutes to sum this up. So once we are done with that, next up we'll move over to lists. Okay, so we have lists, and then after that we'll work on float and then navigation bar. You have 2 minutes on you. Okay, moving on. Let's go over our next topic for today is on styling lists. So what I would request you to do is go to your file tab and do a save as and name your file as csslists.html and then hit the save button. CSS lists and then save button. Once you've done that, can you go and remove all your CSS codes within the style tag and also remove your H1 and paragraph and then Control S to save. After that, what I would like you to do is, I hope you still remember how you can add ordered and unordered listing. So first of all, we'll add a ordered listing and thereafter we'll go and add a unordered listing. So opening OL for ordered listing in lowercase. At the same time, you have a closing OL. Now within that, you'll add in 3 listings. So opening li tag followed by closing li tag, and that needs to be repeated 2 more times. And in here, you'll add a listing of, let's say, let's add a listing of fruits. For example, apple. Moreover, if you look at the next set of coding, you will add oranges, and finally, let's add pear. So you have an ordered listing, and within it, you have 3 listings in them. At the very same time, let's go and move down. Now, before we do that, Control S to save up. Let's go and open up the document and see whether you have the listings or not. Yes, I do. Okay, so thank you. So the listings there are in terms of numerals 1, 2, and 3. So unordered listing, you have a opening UL tag followed by a closing UL tag. And upon doing it, what you'll notice is that you should have bullet points, any form of bullet points. Please do add in your listings together, and your listings, you'll notice is that at the moment you have not added in any form of, pardon me, give me a second, people. Now, what you'll notice is that your listings, okay, if you would try to compare it with the ordered listing and the unordered listings, there would be difference between them. Okay, so for your unordered listing, let's add in again something else in here. The first listing, you added the types of fruits. Over here, let's add some names. So you have Tom followed by Peter, and then let's add Ken. Control S to save, refresh your browser, and you will notice that you have 3 sets of unordered listings as well. Okay, now here's the thing. When you're working with CSS, this is just plain HTML. I hope you do understand and do know the extension for the acronym HTML, that is hypertext markup language. CSS is cascading style sheets. Do know them. Okay, this is going to be handy later onwards, especially if you have attempted your short test. So these things are tested in there already. However, if you do notice this, okay, at the moment we are just adding in our HTML codes. Now with CSS, what we do is we try to add some form of styling. Now, what form of stylings can we add with our ordered and unordered listing? For instance, if you look at your ordered listing, you have numerals. If you look at your unordered listing, you have some form of bullet point. At the moment, it's a filled in circle. Okay, so if you'd like to change it, there's a way in which we could change this very, very easily. So let's get on with it. So in your CSS list.html document, inside your style tags, we'll go and add listings, okay? Or we'll go and try to change the different types of listings. Now for your unordered listing, this is what we can do, okay? Now, the types of listing that we generally have with UL is 3 or 4 different types. So you have circle, we have square, okay? Moreover, sometimes you have filled in square or empty squares. So let's try 2 more different methods, okay? At the moment, we have a filled circle, okay? So how do we call out an unordered listing? So UL tag, okay, opening close parenthesis. So in them, you will go and type down your different type of listing. So you have list hyphen style hyphen type. This is how you go around changing your type of unordered listing. Let's feed in circle and see what you get. Now you already have a circle though. So, but if you just try it out, just try it and see what you get. So Control S to save. You have your browser, refresh. What is the difference? By default, you had a filled in circle. Now just circle gives you empty circles. We can also change this to something else. Let's go and add square. Control S to save it up and then refresh. So you have squares in there. Pretty simple, pretty amazing as well. Okay, now that is for your unordered listing. For your ordered listing, we could do something similar. Okay, however, do notice the difference between unordered and ordered. Remember, unordered listing is bullets, and then ordered listing, you have some form of numbering that takes place. Okay, now numberings can come in different formats. You have a normal numeral, that means 1 2 3 4 and all the way from there, and then you have Roman characters. I hope you do know what Roman characters are. If you don't, we can add it on and show it to you. And then you have alphabets. Now with the Roman and alphabets, there is a trick as well. Now Roman numerals can be in terms of uppercase or lowercase. Same thing with alphabets. You can have uppercase alphabets and lowercase alphabets. So let's go and try this out and see how it actually works. So ordered listing, open and close parenthesis. So once you have that, okay, in ordered listing, we will go and add in our list hyphen style hyphen type. All right, now give a colon. Now let's say upper hyphen Roman. Okay, let's see what happens. Do you see that? You have uppercase Roman characters. If you want to have lowercase, so what you'll do is you'll just type down lower and then Roman. There you go. Simple, pretty simple. Likewise, you can do the same with alphabets. Alphabets, so list style type lower alpha, okay, so that indicates alphabets. So therefore, refresh, so you have lower alphabets. And then for your uppercase alphabets, so you write down upper, it needs to be in lowercase, by the way, and refresh it up, you have uppercase alphabets. Pretty simple. Okay, try this out. Try this out. Give me a hint of how it is. If you are finding difficulties in working with this, do let me know. Okay, so this is the most that we have with ordered and unordered listing. Take about 3 minutes to get this done. After that, we'll work with float, and then finally the big exercise, navigation bar. Okay, very well. Let's continue. So next up, we have an exercise called float. Now, float, uh, basically there are four properties of float. So you have left, that means the element that you have that you want to floats to the left. Right, the element floats to the right. And then none, that means the element does not float at all. And then inherit means the last one, inherit, basically means the element inherits the float value of its parent. In other words, it just follows the flow that you have had. Okay, now what, let's go and try this out. Or we can try it out with the current exercise that we already have in front of us. Okay, now your ul that you have ordered listing, let's go and float it. So let's go and float, and then you have a colon, float it to the right hand side, control s to save. So float right, and then refresh. What happens? Your ul goes right to the right hand corner of the screen. Now, like I've said, there are four properties altogether. Let's go and try it out. So if you leave the float to, let's say, inherit, now inherit, let's see what happens. Okay, now like I've said, inherit, it inherits the float value of its parent. So the parent that you have, that means the previous one, is already floating to the left hand side by default. So therefore it will follow the parent float property. Okay, so and also let's try none. None means it won't float at all. Okay, and then you have, apart from that, you also have left. So left is already floating into the left hand side. So again, you will not see much change except for a drop in here. Okay, so four properties of float. You have left, right, none, inherit. So let's go and apply another one in here, and let's have it as for your ul, and oh, pardon me, sorry, you already have a ul done here. Let's have it for our ol. So float it to the right hand side followed by a semicolon, refresh. There you have it. Okay, so I'll give you 2 minutes to try this out. Now the next exercise that you're going to do on navigation bar, that one will test your skills. Now, why I had left the navigation bar right for the very end of all these features is because the navigation bar basically uses all those things that you've already done so far. In fact, a bit more. So it will require some adequate amount of thinking in it. Okay, take 2 minutes, get this done, and then we'll work with the navigation bar. It will take us some time to finish it up. Yeah, 1 more minute to go. All right, moving on. What I'd like you to do is go into a file and then save as, and save your file as navigation underscore bar.html, and remove your style tag and the entire contents of it, and also your body tag. Now, this time what we'll do is we'll use an external style sheet. So with an external style sheet, I think we already have an external style sheet in our folders. I hope you also have it there with you. If not, this is what we'll do. We'll go to file, click on new. Okay. And after that, click on file, save, and save the name of your file as style.css, and then hit the save button. So altogether, you'll have two notepad files, one called style.css, and the other one that you will already have is navigation bar. Right click, open with notepad. Okay, so I will have two of them all together. So navigation bar and the same time style.css. So first of all, before we actually start working on the navigation bar, I will need you to ensure that you link your external style sheet. So how would you do that? How would you go around linking your external style sheets? Anyone has any idea of how we can actually go around doing that? Anyone? No, none of you? Okay, now it is pretty simple. All you have to do is you have to add a link tag within the head section of your website. So in link tag, you have link. After that, relative is equals to, and you'll say style sheet, and hyperlink reference. This is where you link your file. So link your file. How would I link it? I'll have to call out the name of the file here, style.css. So in it, style.css, control S to save. So link relative is equals to style sheet in quotes, and then hyperlink reference is equals to style.css in quotes. Take a minute, try to get that done. Okay, now once you've done with that, once you've linked your style sheet, you need to ensure that your linking is correct. The only way in which you can do something as such is we need to ensure to apply some effects in our style.css. So over here, it's very simple. I will I will call out the body tag and apply a background color. So background hyphen color, colon, let's give a color of red, semicolon, Control S to save. At the same time, I need to ensure that my navigation underscore bar .html needs to be saved as well. And from my folders, I'll open up navigation bar in a browser. So color red works. Okay, it works pretty well. If you still are not so sure, now let's go and change the color to, let's say, navy. Not navy, just keep it to, let's say, purple. Okay, purple. Control S to save, refresh the browser. This is what you get. That means at the moment, my style sheet and the link for the style sheet is working pretty well. So let's go and remove all of that. Control S to save and refresh the browser. Can you test it out? I'll give you a minute, test out and see if your CSS file and the links are working accurately. All right, moving on. Now to start with the navigation bar, okay, we will need to be in our body tag or inside the body tags of your HTML page. And then the first thing I will ask you to do is add an unordered listing. So opening UL tag followed by a closing UL tag. Once you're done with that, okay, you'll add in listings. How many links? Let's say you want on your bar, you want to have 4 different links. So let's add 4 listings altogether. If you want to be fast, you can do a bit of copy and pasting and also more accurate as well. Control S to save. So you have added in your listing. So in your bar, let's have home as your listing. So let's have all of these in uppercase, home. After that, you have news, and next listing is contact, and finally about. Control S to save, and you go and refresh your browser, see if you have those listings added. We have 15 more minutes. I have a meeting from 11 for which I need to report in about 10 minutes earlier. So we have 15 more minutes, 10:45 we'll close off the class. Let's see where we can go in the next 15 minutes time. Now the listing that you have in there, now we need to convert them into links. Okay, now to do that actually, it's not difficult, it's pretty simple. We have done this, remember, click here, something similar as this, but we don't have any specific links for them, specific pages, specific destinations for them. So what we can do is we can always leave it as blank. Okay, now this is how you do it. So you're opening a tag needs to be in lowercase, and then you have a closing a tag. Once you've done that, hyperlink reference is equals to, and I'll leave a hashtag. So that means you can always go and insert the link later. So see, it changes into a link. Good. Okay. Likewise, you'll do it for rest of it. So opening a tag followed by a closing a tag, and you have a hyperlink reference is equals to, and then hashtag. Let's go and see if that has converted into a link. Yes, it has. Let's move on to the next one. So opening a tag followed by a closing a tag. After that, you have a hyperlink reference, and then let's give a hashtag. Control S to save. Go to the browser. Yes, it has converted into a link again. Now, I don't need to recheck it every now and then, but I would suggest you to do it. Just in case if something goes wrong later onwards, you may spend a lot of time actually figuring out where you have gone wrong. So we don't want to do that, okay? So Control S to save for the last one, and then refresh. Now, all of them are converted into links. Take a minute, get this done. Now, a navigation bar, do you know what a navigation bar is? It's like when you're seeing a website, the place where you have home, news, where we contact about us, product, items, services, and all this written in, we are creating that bar, and we're creating it out of a listing. Remember, it has started from something like this, and we have to convert it all the way around. Okay, how can we do that? This is what we're going to do in this particular exercise. In fact, you can very easily use this in your assignment, your major project. Now, moving on, now we'll directly jump into our CSS page style sheet. So first of all, we are working with UL. So opening UL, open and close parenthesis. Now, first of all, your list type. So what is your list type at the moment? You'll see it's circles, close circles. So let's go and change your list type to, so list hyphen style hyphen type. Let's set it to none. So your listing, unordered listing is out and away. Pardon me here. All good, everyone? After that, I'd like you to go and give a background color. Background color to your UL. Remember, this single home, one of this is a listing. The entire thing is UL. Okay, so it's just like saying you have a container, okay, or a box. The box contains listing, okay, all the listings. So within that box, you have 4 more boxes. So LI for home, LI listing for news, contact, and about us separately. So therefore, you might need to understand this concept more clearly. So background color, let's give it as black followed by a semicolon. And this is what you get. After that, there are a few more things that we could add up. Let's give a margin. Margin is within or outside the element. Outside the element. Margin, let's give it to 0. So this is a shorthand, by the way. It's just saying 0, so it means 0 at all angles. So therefore, this is what you get. Notice what happens. Control S to save, no margin. This is what it is. Now it's dragged somewhere bit slighter than from the very top portion. When you set it to 0, and then there you go. Same time, let's also give a padding of 0. Now this is going to be interesting. When you give a padding of 0, that means there should be no spaces on these sides. Okay, have a look at this. There you go. Padding to 0. And finally, one more thing before I give you a minute or two to actually catch up is overflow. Overflow, let's leave it as hidden. Now, what overflow is this? Okay. Now, you are not seeing any change at the moment. Now, overflow generally, let's say if your entire container, let's say this section becomes too small and text goes outside the black elements. So those elements, you want to hide it from showing. Okay, so that's what overflow is about. That code is not needed, just in case. I'm just giving it for future reference as well, just in case if all of this is filled out and something goes outside the black border, okay, it will be hidden. Okay, it wouldn't show. So take 2 minutes to get this done. Now, this is what we'll do. It's almost about 10:40 at the moment, and we're running short of time. Okay, now we'll stop here with the styling of our UL. We'll continue on this in our next week's lecture class. Lecture class, remember, Thursday afternoon, 2 to 4 p.m. We'll try to get this done in the class and we'll complete it up. So you have that. Moreover, in next week's class, including your lecture and your lab class, we will create an entire website. Okay, so this is where we'll finish off for today, everyone. So thank you very much for joining in. Okay, I wanted to finish this up in the class today, but we're running short of time, because if I would jump into the next set of codes, we'll have to leave halfway. So that wouldn't be so good of me to do so. So we'll continue in next week's lecture class. Next week, you'll have full 4 hours of classes, minus 15 minutes break from the lecture class and 15 minutes from your lab class. So 3.5 hours of class, we should be able to get the navigation bar done and also the website. All right, so everyone take care, stay safe, try to practice this. Now if you still have questions or queries, feel free to shoot me an email or feel free to drop me a message on Moodle. Also, you may get access to some of these things on the website called w3schools.com. Try to go over the exercise on HTML and CSS and see if you are able to learn something new from there as well or not. Now, also, please, just a kind reminder, do not take these things very, very lightly. Come next year when you do CIN628, okay, you are bound to have some form of pre-knowledge on HTML and CSS, okay? So till then, take care, stay safe, everyone. I'll see you all in next week's class. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate your time and your efforts. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you so much.